Hey everyone, my name is Joel at Dissecting DIY. Today we're going to go over a smart device. Just so you're aware, there's a lot of devices out there that claim energy efficiency, whether they be thermostats, ways to monitor usage for electrical, like the Sense that goes in your panel. But there hasn't been a way. A lot of people who use boilers and oil heating have kind of been left out in the cold, so to speak. So that being said, there are some devices coming to market that aren't too hard to install, and one of these things we found on Facebook of all places, and we actually couldn't find it for a while. We saw it once, and I said to my wife, I said, hey, have you seen anything on smart oil gauges? And I ended up just kind of yelling into my phone, like, smart oil gauges, and sure enough, this came back. Now that might scare some people, that might not, I don't know, but it was extremely useful in finding it again because ads, you can't really go back and search what was in your feed. That being said, so oil-based heat, there's a lot of thermostat products out there that require a C-wire. You're not going to get it, so you're either constantly charging or adding an unsightly transformer, or adding a 5 or 7 wire setup that you don't really need, and that can be costly and expensive, but it's a way to monitor your usage over time. It goes to an app, and this is something that I was actually excited to get a hold of. So let's get into it. We are going to go over today the smart oil gauge from Connected Consumer. So this is it right here. So it arrived fairly quickly. It took about 2 days to arrive. I'm in New Hampshire, and it was shipped from Connecticut. They do recommend, so with this, they do recommend that you use pipe dope. So this stuff right here, basically pipe sealer, and that's to prevent any of the gas coming out of the tank and to make sure that it has a good seal. Now they do recommend a set of channel locks, and you can see these are a little bit used, but they recommend that you have a pair of these on hand, but I did just try to get it apart, and I couldn't get it apart with this. So I'm going to recommend, if you have a plumber friend or want to go to the hardware store, that you get one of these. And it came off lickety-split. I just had to clean up the threads a bit, and it wasn't too bad once I got a hold of this. With this, it was next to impossible. Just over time, the thread sealer that they had on there had solidified and made it so I had to break it. So that's what's recommended, and let's open it up. All right, so we get the directions, and they're pretty straightforward. They're going to show you what needs to be done. You can actually see the tool that I just showed you in the picture, and then they're going to go over setup. So setup's fairly straightforward. Let's open it up and see how it's packaged. Packaged pretty good. You can see in there, it fits right in. There's the sensor, and it looks like the directions say that I'm just going to open this up. Okay. So here's the power. It's battery powered, and it's on off right now, so defaulted to off. And they say that it came with batteries, so we're going to check that out. And yeah, I'm going to turn it on. Device is now on. I see some blinking lights. Put this back in. Now this looks like this is supposed to be in here, based on what I'm seeing down below that I can't really get to. So we're just going to make sure that it stays in there. So once you've turned it on, you're going to need to learn it. I'm going to have to shut off this video because I am using my phone. I'm going to push this button right here, and it will add the device, and then we'll go over installation. All right, I've learned the device, so now I'm just going to get the pipe dope ready, or the pipe sealer. Okay, and this stuff's pretty thick. When you put this on, you just need to make sure that the threads are full. You don't have to go hog wild with it. but the threads should be covered. Ugh, and you want to make sure that you don't do it. So you want to keep the sensor clean and keep excess from the bottom. Okay. So again, just very lightly pull any away from you can see I'm getting making sure that the threads are full, or that there's enough coverage in the threads. Like I said, you don't have to go hog wild, but at the same time, it needs to be, make sure that you're going to seal this, because you don't want any of the fumes coming up into the home. I mean, you might get some fumes. I always get fumes when the oil company comes and fills it. But I mean, it dissipates fairly quickly. But this is going to help make sure that that doesn't happen. Too much over time, or too much just sitting there. So as you can see, I got it covered fairly well, and we're going to go put it on the oil tank. Let's go get it done. All right, so now we're going to install the sensor itself. Now I've already taken the liberty to actually loosen this up, but I did use channel locks or that big wrench. So I did have to break a seal around here with, it looked like they used Teflon tape before, or a thread seal. I had to clean it up. So once this comes out, you're going to get a bit of fumes. You're going to smell the oil. And you just want to clean this up. You want to prevent anything from dropping down into the tank too much. But once that's open, you're just going to seat this right here. You're just going to turn it just like the other thing. You want to make sure it gets a good seal. And one of the drawbacks to this I've noticed is this up here is to tighten the top. There's really nothing to tighten it down here. What would have been nice is like a wrench to tighten that up, and there just isn't. So this is hand tight right now, and I would prefer it be further down in the channel. And I was afraid that this was actually going to happen. So I'm going to get some channel locks, and you just got to go very easy. And I'll show you how to do that in 2 seconds. All right, so I'm going to use the channel locks. Hopefully I don't damage this too much. I hate doing this when there's nothing. Just going to make sure it's on there pretty good. Just go very slow. Just make sure you don't damage the unit. You don't have to press too much. If you're pressing too much, then all right. So you can actually see some of that. You can see some of the pipe dope coming up and kind of bubbling up. That's good. So that means we have a good seal. And I think that'll about do it. So you might have to take this off one day. So you don't want to go too overkill with it. But you do want to make sure it's tight. Also, don't get rid of this. Hang on to it in case this has to come off someday. I think you'd regret it if you got rid of it and weren't able to replace the unit right away. It's just always good to keep these parts. And that is how you install a smart oil gauge from Connected Consumer. Thanks. All right, so we just installed the smart oil gauge from Connected Consumer. This guy right here. And this is the recommended setup. They do give it a 1-year warranty, batteries included. There's no monthly fees. It goes to an app. Some side notes after installation. You're gonna need about 2-3 hours, maximum of 5 or 6 hours before this thing starts giving you an accurate read. So it's going to take some time for that sensor to gather the data, get it to your phone. Not a big deal. Now, it does work with Amazon Alexa. And a couple of side notes, some issues that I had with the product itself is just basically there's just this cylinder right there. The top teeth that you do get to tighten it is actually just for the electronics, to get access to the electronics inside. You do not want to try and tighten it from that. You're going to have to try and tighten it from the pipe. You're going to scuff it up a bit. You can put some tape around it, some duct tape around it. You know, as I didn't do that, but that'll kind of protect it. And you don't want to go too tight with it. If you're really having to clamp down on that to get it in there, you got to look at the threads, make sure that they're cleaned up pretty good. The pipe dope, obviously, they recommend it. I recommend it. It's something that you're going to want to put on there just to prevent any leaks. Make sure you get a good seal. Also to make sure that you can get it off later on. For some reason, it just makes it a little bit easier. So that being said, the other issues that I did have, again, was just getting the 2-inch cap off. You can see a picture of it right there. I did try using channel locks, but I had to use a pipe wrench instead. And the pipe wrench dealt with it very quickly. The channel locks were difficult to get it off, and I just had to break that initial bond. And once it was off, I could use the channel locks, no problem. The pipe that I said, I really wish they just kind of had something to latch onto and, you know, make tightening it a little bit easier. I usually like that stuff to sit just like the little plug that they have. I like it to sit low, just like the plug was. And, you know, they tighten them almost all the way down. This one I was able to get about halfway until I started to notice some scratching on the pipe. So that was the only drawback. It's really not a big deal. The product overall seems pretty cool. And then once I do get an oil gauge reading, it's going to look like that on the phone. And then over a year, I'm actually going to be able to monitor my usage and kind of adjust. I can, you know, if I lower the temp on my thermostat over a course of a month, I can monitor if I saved anything. You're going to have to consider outside temp, all that good stuff. But again, this is a product from Connected Consumer known as the Smart Oil Gauge. I found it on Facebook, and now I'm just showing you how to install it to make it easier for you, because I know that the first thing I do when I get a new product is, I'm not really sure how to install it, is I go on YouTube and I take a look. So good luck, guys.